The dust-colored sky burned gold on the western horizon when the first desperate radio call crackled through the ranger station. "Base, this is Patrol 7. We got a python on the South Ridge. Mustang herd in immediate danger. Request all units, now." Those 15 urgent words sliced the quiet like a blade, yanking every ranger to their feet. Hearts pounded, chairs crashed backward, and boots thudded against the wooden floorboards as they sprinted for the trucks. In one breath, the entire sanctuary transformed from a sleepy outpost into a battleground, and at its center stood a lone mare whose courage would reshape everything we thought we knew about wild horses. 30 seconds. That's all the time it took for adrenaline to drown out every other sound. Engines roared alive, headlights carved twin tunnels through the gathering dusk, and gravel sprayed like silver sparks as tires spun toward the ridge. Luna. That was what the Rangers secretly called her, though she had never felt a human hand, grazed at the edge of the meadow, her dapple-gray coat rippling under muscles tuned by wind and distance. Around her, foals dozed and stallions sniffed the wind, but only Luna noticed the unnatural hush settling over the grass. Crickets stopped chirping. Even the breeze held its breath. Then the python appeared, 20 feet of silent, scale-armored muscle, sliding through the reeds like a living shadow. Its tongue flicked, tasting the heat of warm blood ahead. Each coil weighed more than a man. Its grip could snap ribs like twigs. And it was heading straight for the youngest foal. From the crest of a nearby bluff, Senior Ranger Elias caught sight of the scene through binoculars. "Dear God, it's bigger than any we've tagged before," he whispered, voice trembling despite a decade of field experience. The radio hissed again. "Elias, hold the line. Backup's 90 seconds out. Dispatch ordered." 90 seconds, a lifetime for fear, an instant for tragedy. Elias slammed the binoculars down, vaulted into the driver's seat, and floored it. Dust boiled in the wake of the Jeep as he tore across scrubland, steering one-handed while loading a tranquilizer dart with the other. "Hang on, girl," he muttered, as though Luna could hear him over the growl of the engine. Meanwhile, the python struck. It lunged low, aiming for the foal's hock, but Luna exploded between predator and child. She reared so high the last light of sunset flared through the curve of her mane, and her scream ripped across the valley like a war horn. The foal bolted. The python's jaws snapped on empty air, and it recoiled, stunned that mere flesh dared to defy cold reptilian patience. Thunder from the approaching ranger trucks echoed across the hills. Yet in that suspended heartbeat, predator and prey faced off alone. Luna's chest heaved, nostrils wide, ears flattened to her skull. The python uncoiled in a wide circle, hunting for the angle that would let it anchor those crushing rings around her legs. "Easy, girl, back away," Elias shouted as he skidded the Jeep to a halt 50 yards out. He raised the rifle, but dust and distance blurred the shot. One bad dart could drive the snake into a frenzy, or worse, dart Luna. He cursed and lowered the barrel. The two opponents began to circle. Grass whispered under scales. Hooves beat a furious tattoo in answer. Luna feinted left, python mirrored right, each reading the other's rhythm in an ancient dance older than memory. Time slowed to the beat of Luna's heart. Dispatch's voice crackled from Elias's radio. "Second unit 200 meters and closing." He ignored it, mesmerized. He had been a ranger long enough to stare down poachers, wildfires, and storms, but never had he seen courage like this etched into muscle and bone. Suddenly, the python struck again, a blur of mottled green and bronze. Its jaws clamped around Luna's foreleg. She screamed, lashing out with the other hoof, connecting with a sickening thud that would have broken a lesser creature's spine. But the snake held on, driving coils forward until Luna's front half began to vanish beneath a living noose. Elias raised his rifle, finger white on the trigger. Steady, steady. The shot required threading a needle between thrashing tail and desperate horse. His breath stalled. Sweat burned his eyes. That's when Luna did something none of the field manuals ever mentioned, something no ranger on that ridge, nor any viewer who later replayed the body cam footage 1,000 times, could ever forget. With the python's jaws locked to her leg, she pivoted on her hindquarters, flinging her full weight sideways. The move was deliberate, not panicked. She had chosen to fall, using gravity like a hammer. The impact dragged the python off balance, loosening its coils just enough for Luna to gasp a fresh breath. Still tethered by fangs, she reared again, silhouette black against the newborn moon. Then she crashed forward, both front hooves slamming the snake's midsection with a crack like splitting timber. Scales flew. The python recoiled, yet its tail whipped around her hind leg, cinching the two adversaries into a deadly braid. 20 yards away, a foal squealed, trapped against a boulder. Luna's ears flicked toward the sound, and Elias suddenly understood. She wasn't fighting for herself. She was stalling death, so her family could flee. Tears blurred his sight. "Just one clean shot," he whispered, lifting the tranquilizer rifle. But before he could fire, Luna surged upward again, dragging the serpent like a living chain. Mid-air, she twisted. The snake hit the ground first, stunned. Luna landed, battered but standing, nostrils flaring steam. Elias had his opening, finger poised on the trigger, when Luna charged once more, hooves flashing bronze in the headlights. And in that shattering heartbeat, something happened none of us, not Ranger, not viewer, not storyteller, were prepared to see. That moment, the moment that would redefine courage itself, is where we pause for now. A violent silence followed, one of those eerie pauses that stretches time like taffy. The headlights flickered. Dust hung in midair. Elias blinked, heart hammering in his chest. He expected to see Luna buckling beneath the python's grip. Instead, what emerged from the golden haze was a sight that would later become legend among the Rangers. Luna was dragging the snake. Not entangled, not trapped, dragging it. Blood seeped from her foreleg where the python's teeth had latched, but Luna moved with the furious grace of a mother defending her last child. With each thunderous hoofstep, the serpent twisted, trying to re-anchor its grip, but Luna never let it settle. She moved in unpredictable arcs, dancing left, cutting sharp to the right, spinning so fast that the python's weight began to work against it. From behind the hill, the second unit of Rangers arrived. Tires screeched. Doors flew open. One of the newcomers, Ranger Dina, dropped to one knee beside Elias, rifle aimed. "What do we do? We fire or risk hitting the horse?" Elias didn't answer. His eyes were still locked on Luna. Luna suddenly reared back on her hind legs again. The python, coiled now around her midsection, tried to constrict, but she twisted violently, rolling her ribcage to the ground in a maneuver that would have shattered the spine of most horses. The force of her drop slammed the snake's jaw into the rocky earth. It hissed, loud, furious, wounded. Dina gasped. "She's not just fighting. She's winning." In the shadows, the foals began to regroup behind a fallen log, frightened but alive. One of the stallions, younger and still unsure of his rank, stepped toward Luna as if to help, but Luna stomped once, hard, as if to say, "Asterisk, stay back. This is mine." Asterisk. For a moment, the air itself held its breath. The python tried one last desperate strike, snapping toward Luna's throat. She sidestepped, then drove both hooves into the side of its skull. A final, sickening crunch echoed through the ravine. The serpent's body quivered, then fell still. Silence. Utter, complete silence. Luna stood above the corpse, sides heaving, blood dripping from her wounds. Then, as if pulled by some ancient instinct, she turned and limped toward the foals. She nudged each one gently with her nose, checking. Confirming. Alive. Safe. Ranger Elias finally lowered his rifle. "Medic," he shouted. "Get her help now." The team scrambled. They weren't equipped for equine trauma on this scale, but they did what they could: saline, gauze, iodine. One ranger knelt beside her, speaking softly while she flinched at the touch of human hands. "She's letting us treat her," Dina said in awe. "She trusts us." "Not trust," Elias replied. "She's choosing not to fear. That's even rarer." In the coming days, Luna would become more than a legend. She'd become a symbol. The body cam footage went viral within hours of release. Major networks replayed the standoff on loop. Wildlife forums erupted. Artists painted murals. Children wrote letters addressed to the bravest horse in the world. But fame didn't matter to Luna. She never accepted captivity. The moment her wounds healed enough to walk without stumbling, she slipped past the open gate of the ranger post's corral and vanished back into the hills. Not a soul tried to stop her. They all knew Luna belonged to the wild. And though she disappeared into the golden haze of a desert sunrise, the herd she saved never forgot. Nor did we. Every year since, the rangers make a quiet pilgrimage to that ridge, where a brass plaque now rests between two wind-worn stones. It reads, / for Luna, who faced death so others could live. The plaque glints in the light of each sunset, the same light that once burned through the curve of her mane as she stood against something no horse was ever meant to face. But the story, it doesn't end there. Because one stormy night, nearly 2 years later, a young ranger named Miles, new to the team and skeptical of all the Luna lore, spotted something just beyond the tree line. A flash of silver, the flick of a tail, and beside it, not one, but 2 foals.
Then gone.
Elias, older now, smiled when he heard. She came back. Miles nodded. I think she wanted us to know. Know what? Dina asked. That she's not just a legend. He turned toward the hills. She's a mother now, and the story's not over. The radio buzzed again. Another call. Another ridge. But as they rolled out under moonlight, hearts still pounding like hooves against earth, they all carried one truth. Bravery doesn't roar. Sometimes it gallops. And Luna? Luna never ran from the storm. She became it. To be continued. Miles couldn't sleep that night. The image of silver against the trees, of Luna and her new foals, looped endlessly in his mind. He paced the porch of the ranger cabin, boots creaking on the old wood, the wind humming softly through the pines. There had to be more. At dawn, he made a choice. He packed light, a thermal jacket, camera, field notebook, and a medical kit. And then he left a note on the ranger station desk. *, gone to find her. Wish me luck. * he didn't tell Elias. Didn't want to hear. Don't chase legends. 3 days he tracked her. Rain lashed the cliffs. His boots filled with grit. Twice, he lost the trail. Once, he spotted mountain lion tracks overlapping hers and feared the worst. But then, on the 4th morning, as fog curled low over the ridge, he saw them. Luna, standing tall beside a thicket of sage. She was thinner. Her coat carried new scars. But her eyes, fierce, intelligent, calm, still held that fire. And there, tucked beneath her flank, were the foals. One with a crescent-shaped blaze across its forehead, the other as silver as her. Miles sank to one knee, breath caught in his throat. He didn't reach for the camera, didn't dare move. Luna looked at him for a long, long moment. Then she stepped forward. Only once. Only far enough to place herself between the foals and him. A protector. A guardian. The same Luna who had stood between death and the innocent once before. Miles whispered, "You're still watching over them. Still fighting." He lowered his gaze in respect. And when he looked up again, she was gone. Just a flicker of silver vanishing into the trees. He returned to the station with nothing but memory. No photos. No proof. But everyone believed him.
Because they wanted to.
Because they needed to. And Luna's legacy grew. She became the spirit of that sanctuary. A reminder that courage wears many faces. Some wild. Some wounded. Some walking on 4 hooves through a world of predators. Children would ask the rangers, "Will we see Luna today?" And the rangers would smile and say, "If you're quiet and kind and strong inside, maybe." Over time, other animals were rescued. Other battles fought. But none quite like that night on the ridge. None like Luna. 10 years passed. The sanctuary expanded. A new center opened in Luna's name, a safe haven for orphaned foals and injured wild horses. Her plaque was moved to the entrance. Every visitor touched it like a promise. Then one quiet morning, a filly arrived with a coat as silver as moonlight and a blaze across her face. No one knew where she'd come from, but the way she held her head high, the way she stood between a limping colt and the open road, left little doubt. Somewhere in the hills, Luna was watching, and her story finally had an ending. Not one of death, or fading into myth, but of legacy, of blood passed on, of bravery reborn. Because real legends don't vanish. They leave behind something stronger than memory. They leave behind hope.